The Senzo Meyiwa murder trial is being delayed yet again, this time as the presiding judge is feeling unwell. The matter will be back in the High Court in Pretoria on the 17th of July. Today we did expect to hear more from Silindelo on that dreadful night the late soccer sensation was shot and killed. Let's go to eNCA's senior reporter Silindelo Masikane, who's following these developments for us. Sli, at some point the judge president did say that Judge Chifuwa Mamela won't be available for a long time. Just tell us more.
Certainly so. Another day here in the North Gauteng High Court where we were expecting the trial of the 5 men accused of the murder of Senzo Meyiwa to continue. However, yet another twist in this particular trial, yet another postponement. Now, we've had at least 2 other postponements in this matter which have delayed how the trial is unfolding. The first postponement was last year, just after we began, where the first state witness, Sergeant Thabo Mosia, he had to go for surgery, and so we postponed from about April to about May. And then in May, we continued for about 3 weeks, and then we resumed once more in November, where we were expecting to again sit for another 3 weeks with a new witness. At the time, we were going to wrap up with Silindelo Masikane, who, of course, was the state's third witness in the matter, and we were expecting for a new witness to be called. But then in another twist, the accused, several of the accused got new legal representation, meaning that the trial then had to be postponed for about 6 months. That is when it, of course, resumed in this term. And of course, resuming with Mthokozi Sitwala, somebody else who is in the house, as well as Zandi Khumalo. Now, we are being told that Judge Chifuwa Mamela isn't well and that his medical team has advised the court that there is a possibility he may not be returning to court for some time, and that is, of course, due to his ill health. Let's just take a listen to what the judge president had to say when he was informing the court as well as counsel.
The reason why I'm appearing today is because my colleague, Judge Mamela, is not available due to ill health and may not be available for a long time, subject to what his medical doctors may say. However, because of the importance of this matter and the publicity that it is getting from the media, we have made arrangements that this matter should proceed in the third term so that it can be finalized as soon as possible. For that reason, the matter is not going to proceed today. It was scheduled to proceed from today, I think, until about Thursday. Yeah. The witnesses will be excused. The state indicated that it's not necessary for me to warn those witnesses to appear on the date on which this matter will be postponed to. Your matter is postponed to the 17th of July. The trial will proceed from that date. It may proceed for the whole term, for the whole of the third term.
Now, to just unpack what we've heard in court so far in terms of the reasons for this postponement, I am joined by legal expert from the UJ Law Clinic, that is Mr. Alton Hart. Thank you so much for your time. I know you were watching proceedings quite closely. You were also expecting to have these court proceedings resuming with the testimony of Zandi Khumalo. You've heard the reasons why we have to postpone. Perhaps do you foresee that when we resume on the 17th, that Judge Chifuwa Mamela will perhaps be well enough to return, or will we be seeing the judge president seemingly then presiding over this matter?
Now, looking and hearing what the judge president already said, is like we cannot expect him in a very long time to be back in court, because obviously it's his health is very important to him and his family. So we need to also give the judge the space to recover properly so that he can perform his duties. And if not fit to perform his duties, then we need to look at other avenues to actually get the case on the road. And that would then entail to actually appoint a new judge to actually preside over the matter. But I don't foresee that on the 17th of July, Judge Maumela will be sitting in the judge's bench there hearing this matter further, because I don't think that in a month's time he would be recovering, because I know in a past settings he already indicated he's taking some medication, so it's a long-going illness that the judge most probably is struggling with.
Let's talk about then the material effects this may have on the trial. I mean, if we do see a new judge presiding over this trial, do we expect to start this trial all over again with the new judge having to hear testimony afresh from the witnesses that have been led so far by the state?
Now, obviously, one needs to look at the case as it stands. Is it at an advanced stage? And a lot of people will say the case is at an advanced stage because they've listened to like maybe more than 50% of the state's witnesses. So, and obviously, when a judge sits in a case, he looks at the evidence that is tendered, but also looks at the demeanor of the witnesses that's testifying to make credibility observations or assessments of that witnesses. So at this stage we had like approximately 4 people already testifying out of the 7 that was 3 out of the 7 that was in the house allegedly. So they already maybe Judge Maumela made notes on his credibility assessments that the judge can just look at and actually sort of have get an idea of what was his observations. But if the accused persons can show that the new judge, if he just looks at the notes of Judge Maumela, might be prejudicial to them, then they would be bringing an application for a substitute judge, but to also bring an application for the trial to start afresh, de novo, and then all the witnesses needs to be called. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's a possibility that the accused, they need to prove prejudice. But it should not just be prejudice because a new person takes over, because the new person can look at the evidence, at the record, as well as listen to the tape recordings and then acquaint himself, but that will delay the matter extensively, and that might then open the door for these accused persons to actually bring an application for bail on new facts. So that is all the possibilities that I foresee that's in the pot there for the taking, that one needs to consider looking at what is currently unfolding in the trial.
While the judge president was addressing the court, I noted that he said that it was due to the importance and in essence the public interest of this matter that counsel had to come to an agreement in terms of resuming the trial at the earliest next month. We were hearing that there was a possibility that it could have been postponed for at least another year, with dates being looked at around October and September 2024. Perhaps then talk to me about the significance and importance of the media's presence in trying to speed up the process and in essence getting justice for the Meyiwa family.
No, indeed. So I think if this was just an ordinary case that we don't have sight of via the eyes of the media, it might have been easily postponed till next year, 2024 October, because we have got clock court rules. That is a fact that sits with us and we can't ignore it. But the mere fact that this case has been coming on since 2014, they only arrested the accused in 2020, is already putting pressure on the justice system and the functioning of the justice system. So they were under pressure, and I think it's good pressure that the media brought so that this case is not further delayed, because we could already see that the Meyiwa family is not happy at the snail's pace of what and how things is happening in court, and they want this thing to expedite so that they get answers as to what really happened to Senzo in that house. And by these postponements, and obviously this is an unforeseen one, that the judge fell ill, but it's just adding to that pressure. And I think the media is actually helping here so that this case can be expedited so that we get to finality. So for me, this time around, the media being in the court is just sort of making sure that the wheels of justice is not turning slowly, but actually moving at a quicker pace than we would anticipate.
Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That is legal expert from the UJ Law Clinic, Mr. Alton Hart, unpacking, of course, the court proceedings and the postponement in the Meyiwa trial that will officially resume on the 17th of July and will sit for the remainder of the third term.
Let's hope it will definitely sit for the remainder of that third term. We all know and have seen how many times it's been postponed. Senior reporter Silindelo Masikane live for us in the High Court in Pretoria. Let's leave it there for now.